trying to find the way to walk. Lord, I humble myself before thee. I don't want to be lost. I've been taught to search the scriptures and read the word of truth. Like you said, just like you promised, I'll be just like you. How can you hear to believe? Take the time out just to read. You will find that you've been wrong. Jesus is coming to his home to take its rest in Zion. You won't get to heaven. No, 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 no. Then I know it's true. 'Cause I'm ready. Yeah. All you got to do, just receive it. Yeah. Open up your Bible.
Hello, I'm Brother Boyd from the Israel of God, coming to you again, teaching the Word of God by subject and title. Today's title of this lesson is The Abomination and Great Tribulation. The Abomination and Great Tribulation. Sisters and brothers, this is going to tell you about a time. We're going to deal with a time that the Lord's going to bring upon this world. It's going to be a time of trouble that we ain't never had before. And he's going to bring it by the hand of a man that the Bible called the Abomination of Desolation. Because this man is the one that's going to present himself as a servant of God. But he's going to cause a whole lot of damage and suffering on this earth. And we're going to pick this up in Matthew, the 24th chapter. And we're going to start reading at verse 1. This is when the apostles was admiring the temple and how it was built. 24:1. Go ahead.
And Jesus went out and departed from the temple. And his disciples came to him to show him the buildings of the temple.
Go ahead.
And Jesus said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down.
So he was letting them know, look, you admire this temple, but look, not one stone going to be left upon this building. And that's what happened in 7 AD. Titus destroyed the temple down to the ground, sisters and brothers. And then they asked him another question. Go ahead and read.
And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?
So now they wanted to know when the temple was going to be torn down, when he was going to come, and what time would be the end of the world. So, but it's interesting in what the Lord answered these guys, said to these guys before he answered it. Go ahead and read.
And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you.
Take heed that no man deceive you. Go ahead.
For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many.
For many shall come in my name, saying that I am Christ, but they shall deceive many. So he's warned us about a lot of people that's going to come, acknowledging that he is Christ. He said, but they're going to deceive many. That lets you know you have to pay attention to their gospel. He said, that's going to happen. But this is one of the main clues here. Skip down to verse 15 and go ahead.
When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place.
Go ahead.
Whoso readeth, let him understand.
Now I said, when you see the abomination of desolation, stand in the holy place, spoken by Daniel the prophet, whoever read this, let them understand. Now, if you don't know who the abomination of desolation is and where the holy place is, then you are woefully lacking. You need to find somewhere to be taught. What verse is that?
We just finished 15.
Go ahead.
Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains.
So now if the people in Judea, now you got a lot of people in Judea right now in Jerusalem, they don't understand that the day going to come when they're going to have to flee or they're going to be in trouble. Why is that? Skip down to verse 21 and go ahead.
For then shall be great tribulation.
For then shall be great tribulation. Go ahead.
Such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be.
Go ahead.
And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved.
Now the Lord is letting you know, when you see this abomination of desolation standing in the holy place, whosoever read it, they better understand this, and you better flee if you're in Jerusalem. Because it said, look, he's going to bring a time of trouble that has never been, and if the Lord do not, and if the Lord don't intervene, there ain't going to be no flesh saved. Finish that.
Such as was not since the beginning of the world. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened.
So that's why the Lord's going to have to intervene, sisters and brothers. Because if he don't, this man going to kill everybody, including himself. That's why the Lord is going to intervene. But he said, when you see the abomination. Now, Paul spoke of this guy in 2 Thessalonians. Because you need to understand, if you don't know about this guy, sisters and brothers, you're going to be in trouble. Because the Lord is warning you. Jesus warned you. And he told you about, Daniel spoke about this guy. You have been thoroughly warned about this particular guy. You should know it if you call yourself a servant of God. We're going to start this at 2 and 1. Go ahead and read.
Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ,
Go ahead.
and by our gathering together unto him, that ye be not soon shaken in mind or be troubled,
Go ahead.
neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter as from us, as that the day of Christ is at hand.
He said, now I'm telling you, I don't want you to be shaken up. And I don't want you to believe no letter, no word, even from us, that the day of the Lord is at hand. In other words, people use this thing, well, you know, Christ can come today, he can come tomorrow. No, he cannot. Some things have to happen before he comes. He said, so don't let nobody shake you up or deceive you about the coming of the Lord. Go ahead and read.
Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first.
Go ahead.
And that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition.
That falling away is a falling away from the truth, sisters and brothers. And the man that's going to be revealed is the son of perdition. That means destruction. He is coming to destroy. And that man of sin have to be revealed. And the Lord going to give you a way to reveal him. Go ahead and read.
Who opposeth and exalted himself above all that is called God.
So anything that's called God, he opposes it and exalted himself above it. Go ahead and read.
Or that is worshipped. So that he as God
Go ahead.
sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God.
So this guy opposes all that's godly. God told you that the seventh day is his Sabbath day. This man and his organization said the first day is the Christian Sabbath day. God said, I'm going to set the kingdom upon earth. This man and his organization said you're going to be going raptured off to heaven. God told you to keep the dietary law. This organization said all you got to do is pray over and eat anything. He opposes himself. But the day going to come when he's going to sit in the temple of God, showing himself to be God, sisters and brothers. That tells me that a temple is going to be built in Jerusalem. And this person is going to go and sit in that temple. Go ahead and read.
Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things. And now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time.
Look, sisters and brothers, all you got to do is know this prophecy. And when you see it happen, you know it's time to flee. Because the great tribulation is upon us. Because the abomination is in the holy place. But go ahead and read.
For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let.
Go ahead.
Until he be taken out of the way.
Go ahead.
And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming.
So when he take over and start doing what he's doing, sisters and brothers, he's going to be there until the Lord comes. The Lord is going to be the one that removed this guy. Go ahead and read.
Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders.
So this man going to be able to work all kind of miracles and break all kind of signs and lying wonders. And the things that he going to do, man have not seen them, sisters and brothers. And they're going to think that this is the one. But he got to go and sit in the temple of God. But there's a couple of temples that's going to have to be built, sisters and brothers. But the one he's going to set in, the people that's in Jerusalem are going to build it. Let's go into Revelation, the 11th chapter, and verse 1, 11 and 1. Go ahead.
And there was given me a reed like unto a rod. And the angel stood, saying,
Go ahead.
Rise and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein.
Now this temple is the one that Zerubbabel is going to build, sisters and brothers. This is not the one that this guy going to set in. He going to build a temple in the courtway. Go ahead and read.
But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not. For it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months.
So when this man is taking over there, and the temple that's going to be built, he is going to rule for 3.5 years. That's 42 months, sisters and brothers. They tell you that this is a 7-year tribulation, but the Bible don't say that. The Bible said 3.5 years tribulation. But Jesus said, abomination spoken of by Daniel the prophet. Let's go into Daniel and look at it. Let's go into Daniel the 8th chapter. because the Lord said the prophet Daniel told us about this guy. This is the man of sin. This is the guy that's going to set in the temple that the people over there, that the Jewish people over there are going to build, sisters and brothers. Daniel 8:1. Go ahead.
In the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar,
Go ahead.
a vision appeared unto me, even unto me Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first.
He said, now he saw a vision. The Lord going to break it down. Skip down to verse 3. Go ahead and read.
Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had 2 horns. And the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last.
Now this ram, Daniel's looking at this ram represent the Medo-Persian Empire. The last horn come up higher because the Persian did much more than the Medes. But skip down to verse 5 and go ahead.
And I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground.
Go ahead.
And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. And he came to
now this he-goat represent the Greek Empire, sisters and brothers. And the notable horn between his eyes represented the first king of the Greek Empire, which was Alexander the Great. Now he come on the scene because you had the Medo-Persian Empire, and the Greek Empire, the one that knocked off the Medo-Persian Empire. Skip down to verse 7 and go ahead.
And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him.
Go ahead.
And smote the ram, and brake his 2 horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him.
Go ahead.
But he cast him down to the ground and stamped upon him. And there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand.
So this ram, this goat, which represent the Greek Empire, come up against the Medo-Persian Empire under the leadership of Alexander the Great and knocked off the Persian Empire. Go ahead and read.
Therefore the he-goat waxed very great. And when he was strong, the great horn was broken.
Go ahead.
And for it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven.
Look, when the first king, Alexander, what happened was when he got strong, he died at an early age. And his generals took over the empire. When it ended up, it was 4 of them, once they got through fighting over it, that ruled the Greek Empire. Go ahead and read.
And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great.
Go ahead.
Toward the south and toward the east and toward the pleasant land. And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven.
Go ahead.
And it cast down some of the hosts and of the stars to the ground and stamped upon them.
Now this horn was a religious horn that come out of one of them. Which one? Out of the western part, sisters and brothers, the Roman part of the empire. Because it's come up during the Roman Empire. And so it was a religious horn, and it cast some of the stars to the ground and stopped upon who are these stars? These are servants of God, sisters and brothers. Go ahead and read.
Yeah, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host.
Now this little horn magnified himself even to the prince of the host. Go ahead and read.
And by him the daily sacrifice was taken away.
And he's going to stop the daily sacrifice, sisters and brothers. That is going to stop. This is not talking about Antiochus Epiphanes thing. This is talking about the little horn that's going to come in the future, the religious man. He's going to stop animal sacrifice, which is going to be carried out over there by these people that's in the land now. Did you finish that?
No, just
finish it.
And the place of his sanctuary was cast down.
And the place of his sanctuary he's going to cast down. So when this little horn, before he even set up, he's going to have animal sacrifice stopped, sisters and brothers. Now let's go into Revelation, the 12th chapter, and pursue this same guy. Revelation 12.
Daniel 12.
I'm sorry, Daniel's the 12th chapter, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. Daniel's 12:1. Okay, go ahead.
And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people.
Now this is the same time that's not going to be but one on this earth. It's going to be so bad. So Michael going to stand up. Why? Because he is the captain of the Lord's host. If it's going to be a fight, you know he got to be involved in it. Go ahead and read.
And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time.
Go ahead.
And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book.
Now this is during the time of the great tribulation, sisters and brothers. And at the end of this great tribulation, that's when the Lord's going to come, and you're going to have the first resurrection at that time. But go ahead and read.
And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt.
Go ahead.
And they that be
Now,
wise.
I said many in the dust going to work. some the everlasting life, and some the everlasting shame and contempt. That's 1,000 years apart, sisters and brothers. But the first resurrection is going to take place as Jesus started to come down from heaven. The first resurrection. But skip down to verse 4 and go ahead.
But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased.
So seal up this book. It is not for your time, Daniel. It is for the time to come. They're going to run to and fro, and knowledge going to be increased. In other words, they're going to understand this in the last days, like we do. Go ahead and read.
Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood other two, the one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river.
Go ahead.
And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, how long shall it be to the end of these wonders?
How long is this time of trouble going to go on? Go ahead and read.
And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven.
Go ahead.
And swear by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time.
That's 1 year.
Time.
Times plural. It's 3 years.
And in half.
And a half a time. 3.5 years. That's why the time of the great tribulation or the time of the trouble, sisters and brothers. He said for 3.5 years, go ahead and read.
And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished.
Remember, he said this guy is going to attack some of the hosts of heaven. These are not talking about stars like floating around. He's talking about the servants of God. Who are they? They are the holy people. He is going to attack all people that teach the word of God and still to teach this Greco-Roman version of Christianity. This guy's going to attack them, going to make you deal with the first day of the week, Sunday. And the Lord is going to allow it. Now let's back up to Daniel's 8th chapter, and we're going to start reading at verse 15. Daniel's 8 and 15. Because we're going to look at this guy. That's why you need to know about this guy, because during the time, his time, if you're in the wrong place, you got a problem. Verse 15, go ahead.
And it came to pass when I, even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought for the meaning, then behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man.
Go ahead.
And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Uli, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision.
So the angel Gabriel was sent to make Daniel understand what he was dealing with. Skip down to verse 20 and go ahead.
The ram which thou sawest, having 2 horns, are the kings of Media and Persia.
Go ahead.
And the rough goat is the king of Grecia. And the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king.
He lets you know the ram was a Pedo-Persian, the goat was a great Greek kingdom, and the horn in the head of the goat was the first king. Go ahead and read.
Now that being broken, whereas 4 stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power.
Go ahead.
And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full,
go ahead.
A king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up.
Now in the latter time of their kingdom, a king of fierce countenance. In other words, this man's going to have some knowledge. What verse was that?
We just finished 23.
Go ahead.
And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power.
Now he's going to operate under somebody else's power. Go ahead and read.
And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice,
go ahead.
And shall destroy the mighty and the holy people.
Because this man's war is against the holy people. Go ahead and read.
And through his policy, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand.
Speed it up just a little bit. Go ahead.
And he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hands.
So this guy going to practice witchcraft. All kind of witchcraft and miracles going to happen, but this guy's going to magnify himself above everybody, but then he going to come against the Lord. That's why because he's the prince of princes, and that's when he's going to be broken without hands, sisters and brothers. This guy's going to do this, but it says power going to be mighty, but not by his own power. So whose power is he going to be operating out of? Let's go into Revelation the 13th chapter. Revelation the 13th chapter, let's start reading at verse 1. 13 and 1. Go ahead and read.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
Go ahead.
And upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy.
Now this is the resurrected Roman Empire, or either the resurrected Babylonian Empire. In other words, this is Babylon the Great that the Lord is going to go up against. Now he saw him coming together. You see now? They're under the name of the European Economic Community, sisters and brothers. But we don't pay no attention to that. That's the EU that you're reading about right here. Go ahead and read.
And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard.
That was a part of the Greek Empire. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And his feet was as the feet of a bear.
Medo-Persian, go ahead.
And his mouth was as the mouth of a lion.
That is the Babylonian, and he had 10 horns which represent the Roman. Go ahead and read.
And the dragon gave him his power, his seat, and great authority.
So this is the power that's going to be mighty, but not by his own power. It's going to be out of the power of the dragon. He gave him the power. Skip down to verse 5 and go ahead.
And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies.
Go ahead.
And power was given unto him to continue 42 months.
So there we go again with that 3.5 years. That's how long he's going to be around, sisters and brothers. 42 months. What verse was that?
We just finished 5.
Go ahead and read.
And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven.
He's talking against everything that stands for God. Skip down to verse 14 and go ahead.
And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast.
Go ahead.
Saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live.
See, they're going to make an image. And this man is going to make this image, this statue, walk and talk. And everybody that don't go along or receive a mark, he is going to have them killed. Skip down to verse 17 and go ahead.
And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name.
And everybody that don't receive this mark are not going to be able to buy and sell. I don't care what you have in your pocket. But people will say, well, I ain't going to let nobody put no mark in my forehead or in my right hand. You do it every Ash Wednesday, sisters and brothers. So when this time comes, you're going to be used to it. And if you don't receive this mark, you ain't going to be able to buy or sell. Now let's go into Daniel, the 11th chapter, and start at verse 31. Go ahead.
An arm shall stand on his part.
Now an arm going to stand on this guy's part. He's going to have an army doing this bid. Go ahead and read.
And they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength.
Go ahead.
And shall take away the daily sacrifice.
And the people going to start a sacrifice over there. When this guy go over, he going to stop it. Go ahead and read.
And they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate.
And they're going to install him in the temple. Go ahead and read.
And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flattery.
Go ahead.
But the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits.
He's going to flatter a whole lot of people. But people that got some knowledge, they're going to be teaching people contrary to that paganism. Go ahead and read.
And they that understand among the people shall instruct many. Yet they shall fall by the sword.
Go ahead.
And by flame, by captivity, and by spoil many days. Now when they shall fall, they shall be hoping with a little help. But many shall cleave to them with flattery.
Go ahead.
And some of them of understanding shall fall, to try them and to purge and to make them white.
Look, this guy's going to make war against the saints and said that. The people that don't make it to the wilderness, this guy catch him, the Lord going to let him kill some. He's going to try a lot of people, going to see if you really a servant of God. This man going to hurt everybody that stands for the Lord. Go ahead and read.
Even to the time of the end, because it is yet of a time appointed.
Go ahead.
And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god.
Go ahead.
And shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods.
Go ahead.
And shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. For that is determined shall be done.
Go ahead.
Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any god, for he shall magnify himself above all.
Look, and whatever he wants to do, he's going to be able to do, and he ain't going to have time for no women. He's going to be Solomon, sisters and brothers. And he's going to magnify himself above every god. Now let's go into Revelation the 13th chapter and start at verse 13, and we are going to still talk about this guy. 13 and 13. Go ahead and read.
He doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire coming down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
This is this witchcraft that he's called. He's going to cause fire to come down from heaven and maybe burn somebody up. And if you see that, you're going to say, it's got to be Christ. Go ahead and read.
And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast,
Go ahead.
saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live.
Now he's going to make an image, and this guy going to make him walk and talk. Go ahead and read.
And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
Now anybody don't worship this beast, they're going to be killed unless the Lord protect them. Go ahead and read.
And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead.
Go ahead.
And that no man might buy or sell, save he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name.
So no matter who you are, if you don't have that mark, you can't be able to buy or sell. I don't care how much money you got. Let's move on to Revelation the 6th chapter. Revelation the 6th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 1. Revelation 6 and verse 1. Okay, go ahead.
And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as it were the noise of a thunder, one of the four beasts saying, Come and see.
Because this is when this great tribulation starts. This guy going to come out pretending as he's like God. Go ahead and read.
And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer.
Now, he coming imitating Jesus, coming on a white horse. That's what Jesus is going to come on. But skip down to verse 8 and go ahead.
And I looked, and behold, a pale horse. And his name that sat on him was Death.
Go ahead.
And hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth to kill with sword and with hunger and with death and with the beasts of the earth.
Now, this man finally is taken over, and he got power to kill with any means necessary, sisters and brothers. Skip down to verse 12 and go ahead.
And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal. And lo, there was a great earthquake. And the sun became black as sackcloth of hair. The moon became as blood. And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind.
Go ahead.
And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. And every mountain and island were moved out of their places.
Go ahead.
And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains.
Look, sisters and brothers, the heaven going to roll back like a scroll. The sun going to turn black, the moon going to turn red, the stars going to fall, and here comes Jesus. And when these people see Jesus standing there, they're going to hide themselves. Go ahead and read.
And said to the mountains and rocks, Fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb.
Because now here comes Jesus. He's the one that's going to terminate that great tribulation. Now let's go to Matthew the 24th chapter and start at verse 27. Verse 27, go ahead.
For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
And what time that's going to be? Skip down to 29. Go ahead.
Immediately after the tribulation of those days, shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light.
Go ahead.
And the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken.
Go ahead.
And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory.
So that's when the Lord's going to come. He's going to stop the great tribulation himself. Because when he come out of the sky, he's going to take this beast and this false prophet that's dealing like this in this great tribulation and put them both in the lake of fire, and he's going to kill the rest of them with his army. I thank you for your time. Hello. This is Brother Bowie from the Israel of God, coming to you again, preaching the word of God by subject and title. Today's title of this lesson is Armageddon. Armageddon, sisters and brothers, is the world. This is going to be equivalent to World War III. And this is going to be the worst war that we have ever had on this earth. And this is the war, sisters and brothers, that Jesus is going to intervene. This is what he was talking about. We're going to start this in Matthew the 24th chapter, and we're going to start reading at verse 3. Okay, go ahead.
And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?
Go ahead.
And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many.
Now, the first thing they asked him, because he had told them that the temple was going to be torn down. And they wanted to know when was that going to take place, and when was he going to come, and when was going to be the end of the world. First thing he said, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying that I am Christ, and shall deceive many. In other words, he warned you about ministers, sisters and brothers. Not about the dope dealer in the street. Skip down to verse 15 and go ahead.
When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet,
go ahead,
stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand.
When you see this abomination, this is the man of sin standing in a temple that's going to be built in Jerusalem. He said, whoso readeth, let him understand. Why? Skip down and read verse 21. Go ahead.
For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be.
This tribulation is going to be so great until the Lord is not going to allow it to happen but one time on this earth. And ain't going to be another time like it. Go ahead and read.
And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved.
Go ahead.
But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened.
Now the Lord letting you know, unless he shorten these days, everything is going to get killed. Every man. Says no flesh going to be saved. Go ahead and read.
Then if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not.
So, and then somebody going to tell you that Jesus come. He's here now. He's in the temple over there. The abomination of desolation is going to be, act like he's God. He said, if somebody say, here, there he is, he's over here, or he's in the secret place, he said, don't believe it. I'm going to tell you how to know when Christ comes. Skip down to verse 27 and read it.
For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
So he said, you're going to see me coming from the air. Just like lightning come down, so am I going to come down. And what time? 29, go ahead.
Immediately after the tribulation of those days,
go ahead,
shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light,
go ahead,
and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken.
Look, after the great tribulation, the stars going to fall, the moon going to turn red, the sun going to turn black, and then here come the Lord. Go ahead and read.
And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory.
So that's when they're going to see Jesus coming, sisters and brothers. And it's not going to be no big secret, because he tell you what's going to happen with the moon, the sun, and the stars. Let's go into Revelation, the 6th chapter, and look at this coming. Because when he comes, he is going to be in the thick of the battle, sisters and brothers. Revelation 6 and verse 12, 6 and 12. Go ahead.
And I beheld when he had opened the 6th seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood.
Go ahead.
And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind.
Now, we just read that, didn't we?
That's right.
When the Lord get ready to come. And what else? Go ahead and read.
And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. And every mountain and island were moved out of their places.
Go ahead.
And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains.
Go ahead.
And said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb.
Because that's when everybody's going to come to realize then that the Lord is real. When that heaven roll back, then instead of them asking for mercy, they're going to have to run. They're going to run for cover. So hide us from him, because this is his great day. Go ahead and read.
For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand?
Now, Isaiah told you about this same time, sisters and brothers. Let's go into Isaiah, the 34th chapter, because the prophets talked about it. Daniel's talked about it. Everybody talked about it. But we're going to look at this from Isaiah, because it is very precise at what time it is. Isaiah 34 and verse 1. Go ahead and read.
Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein.
Go ahead.
The world and all things that come forth of it.
He said, I want the whole world to listen to what I got to say. Go ahead and read.
For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations.
Now the Lord is mad with all nations, because the world is messed up, sisters and brothers, because the nations have let everything go. You got killing, murder, adultery. You got all kind of ugliness, and sodomy going on, and he's in heaven, and he is mad. Go ahead and read.
And in his fury upon all their armies.
Go ahead.
He hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the slaughter.
Go ahead.
Their slain also shall he cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcass.
Go ahead.
And the mountains shall be melted with their blood.
The Lord going to kill so many people when he come. until the blood going to look like on the mountains and on the battlefield going to look like the earth is melting, sisters and brothers. Go ahead and read.
And all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll.
That's what he just told you in Revelation, ain't it?
Right.
Go ahead and read.
And all their hosts shall fall down, as the leaf falleth off from the vine, and as the falling fig from the fig tree.
Go ahead.
For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judgment.
When the Lord come down and bring a sword on the whole earth, he have a little extra destruction for the Idumeans or the Edomites, sisters and brothers. Skip down to verse 8. Verse 8 and read it.
For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion.
That's why everybody's running for cover. It's the day of the Lord's vengeance, and that's when he is going to let the whole world know who Zion, which is Jerusalem, belong to, sisters and brothers. In that time when he comes. Now let's go into Revelation, the 16th chapter, because this is the big battle, sisters and brothers. This is the battle of Armageddon that everybody have heard about, but don't nobody know about it, because it's certainly not being taught in church, because they done made everything so sweet until the Lord ain't got no reason to be mad or fight. 16 and 12. Revelation 16 and verse 12. Okay, go ahead.
And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. And I saw three unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet.
Go ahead.
For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world to gather them to the battle of the great day of God Almighty.
So now the Lord going to bring all these nations together for this great day that he has talked about by this prophet, the battle of Armageddon. Go ahead and read.
Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame.
Go ahead.
And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon.
So he gathered all of them into the place called Armageddon, sisters and brothers. Other scripture call it the mountain of Megiddo. But this is where all the big battles are taking place. He's going to bring the east across the Euphrates, then they're going to meet the west and northwest Jerusalem, sisters and brothers. That is the valley of Megiddo. And that's where this great fight is going to take place. Now let's go into Joel, the 3rd chapter, and look at it. Joel chapter 3. Because the Lord have all his prophets right about this, sisters and brothers, because he wants us to understand this is some ugly stuff that's going to come on this earth. And if you ain't prepared spiritually, you are going to be in trouble. And I'm not padding it. I'm telling you like it is. That's why somebody better go get some understanding. Joel 3 and 1. 3 and 1. Go ahead.
For behold, in those days and at that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem.
The day when I recover Judah and Jerusalem. Go ahead and read.
I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land.
He said, I'm going to bring all nations down, and I'm going to plead with them. And he ain't talking about please. He mean he going to kill them. Because they have scattered his people into all the nations, and they have divided the land of Israel among themselves. Skip down to verse 9 and go ahead.
Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles.
Go ahead.
Prepare war.
Now, why you said Gentiles now? Because we are in the times of the Gentiles when this prophecy going to happen, sisters and brothers. So I want you to proclaim among the Gentiles. They the one that's got the big weapons now. Prepare war. Go ahead and read.
Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near.
Go ahead.
Let them come up.
Let them all come up. Go ahead and read.
Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears.
Go ahead.
Let the weak say, I am strong.
Go ahead.
Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord.
That's why he said he's going to bring them in this battle of Jehoshaphat. That is still the mountain of Megiddo. Valley of Jehoshaphat means valley where Jehovah will rule, sisters and brothers. That's where he's going to come. That's where he's going to decide who's going to run this thing. Skip down to verse 14 and go ahead.
Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision.
That's what it's going to be decided who's going to run this earth, sisters and brothers. I want the multitudes come on down in the valley of the decision, because we're going to decide whether the Lord is going to run this earth, because he certainly ain't going to steal you off of it and take you to heaven. Go ahead and read.
The sun and the moon shall be darkened.
There are your keys again. Same time, the sun and the moon going to be dark. Go ahead and read.
And the stars shall withdraw their shine. The Lord also shall roar out of Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem.
Now he going to come out of Zion, heavenly Zion, and he going to utter his voice from Jerusalem. Go ahead and read.
And the heavens and the earth shall shake. For the Lord will be the hope of his people.
Go ahead.
And the strength of the children of Israel.
So when the Lord come, that's when Israel is going to be recovered, sisters and brothers. When the sun and the moon going to turn black. When the stars going to fall, the heaven's going to roll back, and the Lord is going to come. Let's go into Zechariah, the 14th chapter, and look at this battle. Zechariah 14, and we're going to start at verse 3. 14 and 3. Okay, go ahead.
Then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations as when he fought in the day of battle.
Go ahead.
And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east.
Go ahead.
And the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof, toward the east and toward the west. And there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half of it toward the south.
Look, when the Lord started descent to get in this battle, sisters and brothers, he ain't going to stop until his feet hit the ground. This battle is not going to last long when the Lord intervenes. It's going to be like almost like the blink of an eye. And his feet going to hit the Mount of Olives. The mountain is going to split. But in the meantime, the Lord have collected him some saints that have been raised from the dead in the first resurrection. Go ahead and read.
And you shall flee to the valley of the mountain. For the valley of the mountain shall reach unto Hazor.
Go ahead.
Yeah, ye shall flee, like as you fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah.
Go ahead.
And the Lord my God shall come, and all the saints with thee.
So the Lord's going to come down with all his saints. These are the people that's going to be in the first resurrection. And also he's going to have all his angels, 2/3 of the angels that was left after Satan pirated 1/3. They're all going to come together, because this is going to be a mighty battle. Skip down to verse 12 and go ahead.
And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem.
Go ahead.
Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet. And their eyes shall consume away in their holes. And their tongue shall consume away in their mouth.
Sisters and brothers, you ain't never seen nothing like this. Lord going to speak the word, and that's going to happen. It's just like he's going to pour hot grease on you and you going to melt. Go ahead and read.
And it shall come to pass in that day that a great tumult from the Lord shall be among them. And they shall lay hold every one on the hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall rise up against the hand of his neighbor.
And the Lord going to even turn all of the soldiers on one another. Because when the Lord get through, there ain't going to be nobody left in that battle. Because that's a great battle, sisters and brothers. And the Lord going to come. Let's go into Habakkuk, the 3rd chapter. Habakkuk chapter 3, because I want you to understand that this is the Lord operating now. Revelation 19. Revelation chapter 19. We're going to look at this same battle, sisters and brothers. The exact same battle. We're going to start at verse 11, 19 and 11. Okay, go ahead.
And I saw heaven open, and behold a white horse. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he doth judge and make war.
Now this heaven open, that's them in heaven roll back like a scroll. So this is Jesus coming now. He judge and he make war. Skip down to verse 13 and go ahead.
And he was clothed with the vesture dipped in blood. And his name is called the Word of God.
And his name is called the Word of God. What is this blood that is dipped? What is this blood? This is the blood of the people that he going to be killing. Go ahead and read.
And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean.
These are the angels, sisters and brothers, and also the people that's going to be in the first resurrection that's going to meet him. Skip down to verse 19 and go ahead.
And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone.
Now look, sisters and brothers, the beast and the kings of the earth and their army, they're going to try to fight against Jesus and his army, which is a flock of angels and immortals that's been in the first resurrection. So what he going to do, he going to take the beast. This is the man that's going to, political or military man, that's going to be ruling the European Economic Union, and the false prophet, which is the religious head, and he's going to cast both of these guys into the lake of fire. And what's he going to do with the rest of the army? Go ahead and read.
And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceeded out of his mouth.
Go ahead.
And all the fowls were filled with their flesh.
So he's going to kill everybody now. That's why it said the mountains going to look like they're melting with blood. Everybody in this battle, sisters and brothers, is going down. This is the battle of Armageddon. Now let's go into Habakkuk, the 3rd chapter, because I want you to understand that this is the Lord that's doing this, and the Lord is actually assaulting this earth, sisters and brothers. This is the Lord coming against man, and this man is foolish. He don't have a chance. It's all that simple. Habakkuk chapter 3, Habakkuk chapter 3, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. Habakkuk 3 and 1. Okay, go ahead.
A prayer of Habakkuk the prophet upon Shigionoth.
O
Lord, I have heard thy speech and was afraid.
Go ahead.
O Lord, revive thy work in the midst of the years, and in the midst of the years make known and wrath remember mercy.
Now look, he said, I heard your speech, Lord. I heard what you said you was going to do to this earth, and I was afraid. So he prayed that in the midst of this wrath, remember mercy. Skip down to verse 5 and go ahead.
Before him went the pestilence, and burning coals went forth at his feet.
Go ahead.
He stood and measured the earth.
He stood and measured the earth. Go ahead and read.
He beheld and drove asunder the nations. And the everlasting mountains were scattered.
Go ahead.
The perpetual hills did bow. His ways are everlasting.
Look, he stood and he measured the earth, sisters and brothers. Then he scattered the governments and the cities. This is Jesus here we talking about. Skip down to verse 11 and go ahead.
The sun and moon stood still in their habitation.
You notice how he give you the keys? This is the time.
That's right.
This ain't going to happen but one time. Go ahead and read.
At the light of thine arrows they went, and at the shining of thy glittering spear.
Go ahead.
Thou didst march through the land in indignation.
You marched through the land in indignation. Didn't we, Isaiah, tell you that the Lord was indignant?
That's right.
You're going to march through the land in indignation. Go ahead and read.
Thou didst thrash the heathen in anger.
And you trashed the heathen in anger, because the Lord was mad, sisters and brothers. Look what he actually did. Skip down to verse 16. Verse 16, and go ahead.
When I heard, my belly trembled.
Look, Habakkuk said, when I heard, my belly trembled. Go ahead.
My lips quivered at the voice.
My lips quivered at the words that you told me. Go ahead and read.
Rottenness entered into my bones.
Boy, he got sick, didn't he? Rottenness entered my bones. Why is it? Because this is what he saw. Go ahead and read.
And I trembled in myself, that I might rest in the day of trouble.
I want to be dead when this happens. Go ahead and read.
When he cometh up unto the people,
When he cometh up unto the people,
he will invade them with his troops.
he will invade them with his troops. God's going to come, Jesus is going to come through against this earth, sisters and brothers, with 2/3 of the angels and a whole flock of brand new gods that was raised and changed during the first resurrection. Habakkuk saw all of that. That scared Habakkuk to death. Let's go on in the 1 Thessalonians, the 1st chapter, the 2 Thessalonians, the 1st chapter, and start at verse 6. Go ahead.
Seeing it is a righteous thing with God to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you.
Now, seeing it is a righteous thing, because the Lord is the one to take vengeance on them that trouble his servant. Go ahead and read.
And to you who are troubled, rest with us.
Go ahead.
When the Lord Jesus shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels.
I want you to trouble people, rest, servants of God, because the Lord is going to be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels. Go ahead and read.
In flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not God.
And flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not God. Because if you don't know the Lord, sisters and brothers, you're going to be in big trouble. Because the Lord is coming, and he intends to do some real damage to all the people that have gone against his law and have come against his service. Go ahead. What verse was that?
We the end of 8.
Now let's go and look at it again. Let's go into Isaiah 66. Because when the Lord Jesus come, taking vengeance in flame and fire. But Isaiah told you about this same thing, sisters and brothers. All of the prophets told you about this, but ain't nobody listening. All of them wrote about this, but ain't nobody listening. Isaiah 66 and verse 15. 66 and 15. Okay, go ahead.
For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire.
Go ahead.
For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many.
Now he said he's going to come, and he's going to take vengeance by his fire and by his sword, And he said, and the slain of the Lord is going to be many. Go ahead and read.
For by fire, they that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh, and the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together.
And he's going to consume those that take his dietary law lightly. He's going to consume you when he comes. Go ahead and read.
Saith the Lord. For I know their works and their thoughts.
Go ahead.
It shall come that I will gather all nations and tongues, that they shall come and see my glory.
So he said, I know their works. So all nations got to come up to Jerusalem and see my glory. All nations. And when they come up, I got something I want them to look at. Skip down to verse 23 and go ahead.
And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another,
and from one new moon to another,
and from one Sabbath to another,
and from one Sabbath to another,
shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord.
Shall all flesh. I mean, wherever you are, you're going to have to come up and worship before the Lord. And once you come up, he's going to show you something. Go ahead and read.
And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me. For their worms shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and they shall be an abhorring to all flesh.
Now you know these two guys, that the Lord, the beast and the false prophet, that the Lord grabbed in the 19th chapter of Revelation and cast alive in the lake of fire. These are the guys that we're looking at right here. So when everybody come up to keep the Feast of Tabernacle and keep the high day, the Lord is going to tell them, go over there and look in this fire, because I want to let you know what happened to people that go against me. You're going to see these two men burning and not being consumed, being eaten on by worms and not being eaten up. Sisters and brothers, that's going to be an abhorrent sight. But Jesus is going to do that. And when he comes, sisters and brothers, everybody's going to see him. They think that Jesus is going to secretly wrap you off the earth, and ain't nobody going to see it. They got this foolish stuff running around talking about you're going to have two in the field. One going to be caught up and another left. You're going to have people driving in cars. They're going to run the ditch. Sisters and brothers, in the first resurrection, you're going to see everything that's going on. Even the Lord. Revelation, the first chapter, and read one verse, verse 7. Revelation chapter 1 and verse 7. Okay, read it.
Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him. And they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen.
Now this is Jesus. He come with the clouds, and every eye gonna see him. He gonna be up there for at least 5 months, sisters and brothers. You can't miss him. And those that pierce him, they gonna see him. Now let's look. And Zechariah told you about this same time. Zechariah, the 12th chapter, and let's start reading at verse 2. Zechariah 12 and 2. Go ahead.
Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about, when they shall be in the siege both against Judah and against Jerusalem.
Jerusalem going to be a cup of trembling then during that great battle of Armageddon, sisters and brothers, and the time of great tribulation. But also, Jerusalem is a cup of trembling to people that's trying to deal with it now. Nobody over there having peace. People getting shot up, bombed up. So it's still a cup of trembling. But it's going to be a cup of trembling really at that day. Skip down to verse 9 and go ahead.
And it shall come to pass in that day.
And it shall come to pass in that day, the Lord said, go ahead and read.
That I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem.
That he's going to seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem. And he's going to bring a whole lot of them down, because it's going to be World War III. Everybody's going to have a dog in this fight, sisters and brothers. Go ahead and read.
And I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem
Go ahead.
the spirit of grace and of supplication. And they shall look upon me whom they have pierced.
They're going to look. He's saying they're going to look upon me whom they have pierced. Because Jesus said it's going to come, and every eye going to see him. Go ahead and read.
And they shall mourn for him as one mourneth for his only son.
Go ahead.
And they shall be in bitterness for him as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn.
Go ahead.
And that day shall there be a great mourning in Jerusalem, as the mourning of Hadadadrimmon in the valley of Megadon.
So it's going to be a great mourning, sisters and brothers, just like it was in the beginning, in the old days, that's going to take place in Megadon, also in the last day at the battle of Armageddon, because that's the same place. And the Lord's going to take this whole earth down, because this is the last war, sisters and brothers, because the Lord is going to intervene. I thank you for your time.